having a great evening so far. So, welcome to our to build off of the previous group. We'll still be looking at social media, but with a little more focus on the politics side, national elections. So, let's start off by saying social media is a political tool. Next slide, please. All right. So, of course, other forms of media in the past were also used as political tools, but none of them had the same scale and real time power as the social media platforms are offering today. And social media does not really differentiate between consumer marketing and political marketing. So, by the way, this is especially true of the political parties here in the Philippines. So if we compare these two side by side, they actually have the same sales funnel, which usually goes like this. So first you target your audience, then you engage with them to build your brand awareness, and finally you convert them, either by making a sale or earning a vote. Now the problem with this is with marketing, this works. So as a consumer, you want more of what gives you value. But with politics, once you like an idea, you get more of it and less of the other ideas. And this leads to echo chambers that cause people to stick to their biases. Now, social media platforms currently treat voters like consumers, which reinforces biases. And politicians are using this to strategically position themselves to get more votes, often regardless of whether it's ethical or not. And today, with big data, political campaigns now have access to more powerful tools like machine learning models, which have the ability to predict how people will vote and therefore craft the ideal conditions to turn the outcome of the elections in their favor. All right, so here is a quick recap of the winners during the 2019 senatorial elections. And in the next few slides, we're going to look at the data and try to answer the question, what made them win? And so here are our objectives. First, uncover online trends during campaign season. Second, understand online personas portrayed by electoral candidates. And finally, predict election success based on these metrics. So in the next part, Arjo will walk us through the data set and some initial observations.
Okay, so this is the data we used. Our data is collected from Twitter and Facebook. It spans the campaign period from February 12th to up to the election on May 13, 2019. So these data are from Twitter, the tweets that mention the candidate or include relevant hashtags, the replies, their tweets, favorites, and the source. For Facebook, we got the post from the candidate's Facebook page, the comments, and the reactions. So let's explore initial insights from the data. For this and the succeeding charts, we will be comparing candidates who won, highlighted in pink, and those who didn't. Looking at the total Facebook posts by the candidates, more posts don't guarantee wins. Now looking at the average reaction per post, even though they are not the top posters, winners get high engagement for their posts. Now let's look at Twitter. So we rank these candidates by the number of Twitters mentioned for them, and from the top five, three out of them won the elections. Now, tweets can come from different sources. At the left of the chart are the number of tweets that come from news sources, while at the right are from the general audience. Winners got buzz from both these sources, while those who were only mentioned in the news did not win. It seems that getting featured in the news is not enough, and the candidates need to get the people talking. We can predict election win with high accuracy by looking at the individual features, so Pat will walk us through how we can approach this.
All right. Picking this up from Orjo, definitely if we look at the features independently, we cannot surely say that these or any of these variables will surely guarantee election wins. So while some of the variables show patterns, particularly the engagement, it does not clearly define what it takes to actually win the elections. What's the winning formula? We're still left with questions like what's the context, what's the audience inclinations, and then how well does the candidates and the online audience profiles match. So with that, we came up with a two-step model. For a two-step model, we aim to one, engineer features which could somehow answer the questions that we have, and two, predict election wins and losses. So for the first part, we did sentiment analysis where we analyze audiences' inclinations. And then we used a tool called IBM Watson's Personality Insights to profile audiences and candidates alike. And then we also did topic modeling to understand the campaigns and advocacies being pushed by this candidate. So we came up with aggregate values from the first part of our model, and together with existing information like the political parties, we fed them into the random forest classifier to actually predict wins or losses. Going more detailed, about the method. For the sentiments analysis, we identify if the mentions are actually positive, negative, or neutral. Our accuracy for this one is 94%. For the topic modeling, where we try to get a sense of what the candidates are talking about, we have identified 9 topics with zero point 0.5 coherence score. And for the personality insights, where we try to build a psychographic profile of the candidates in the audience based on social media data, particularly text information. The tool pairs the text information with personality scores, and it has a reported accuracy of 60 to 70%. So we got the aggregate values from those models or those methods that I've mentioned earlier, and then we try to predict whether the candidates will win or lose. So our final data set will have 62 candidates and 51 features. We use mode to address the imbalanced data set, and then we fed it into the random forest classifier. Our accuracy score is 94%. So given this model, we'll run through some of the insights or results that we got. We'll start off with the sentiments analysis. So for the sentiments analysis, top mentioned candidates receive both support and disapproval. Positive sentiments are driven by words like top, best, fair, kind, cute, support, and negative sentiments are driven by disappointment, hate, fake, stupid, illegal, corrupt, and things like that. So we tried to come up with a list of top 12 positive mentions and top 12 negative mentions. The positive mentions are topped by Diokno, and the negative mentions are topped by Revilla. Now, if you look at these two sets of candidates, they're basically the same people and they're just being reordered. So we further look into the distribution of the sentiments. So the sentiments for this candidate, from there, we saw that sentiments need not be highly positive to win. In fact, if you look at the bottom of the chart, there you'll find the winning candidates for the senatorial elections like Angara, Villar, Bongo, Bong Revilla, and Amy Marcos. Further breaking down the sentiments, so we see that there's the same distribution of sentiments for news and non-news sources as well. Again, the candidates who have the high mentions also have the high positive mentions, also have the high negative mentions. But it's not sentiment analysis which, clearly define what the winning formula is to win the elections. What else can we look at? So we tried to profile the candidates and the audiences. And for that, we use the Big Five personality model. So for the audience, from our analysis, we saw that they have low openness or low extent to which they are open to experiencing new activities. They have low conscientiousness or low tendency to act in organized or thoughtful way, low extroversion or seeking little stimulation in company of others, and they have high neuroticism or they're very emotional beings. They are they're high and highly sensitive to their environment. So comparing the candidates' profiles to the audience profiles, next slide please, we see that the winners match profile of general audience. From here, we see that the candidates have same level of openness, a bit higher conscientiousness, lower extroversion, higher agreeableness, but the same level of neuroticism. But definitely, if you just compare the values or the scores of candidates and the audience, you see that the winning candidates have the closest scores to the audience. So now that now that we've crossed that out, we'll call on Arjo to actually explain some other results of the analysis that we have.
So we have established that engagement and taking on an online persona that matches the audience is important. So how did they leverage that in their campaigns? We look at the Facebook posts of the candidates to try to see if it matters what they post about. So we identified 9 topics or platform and ranking them by volume of engagement. The top four are health and youth, labor and employment, good governance and local programs, and small and medium enterprises. They are dominated by pretty much the same people with just a few winning candidates. So the question now is there a particular platform that makes winners? And it turns out that there isn't. Not one platform sets these winners apart. And looking at this metric alone, we can see that all candidates are equally likely to post about various topics, but they may have varied in how they delivered it. So all these results from the model one, from the models and the first step are fed into a final classifier, and Ray will explain the important features that we found.
Okay, thanks for that, Arjo. So now let's take a look at 9 important features that we use in the final model. Here are engagements with candidate, sentiment towards candidate, engagements for mentions, candidate online visibility, candidates advocacies, sources of mentions, audience profile, candidate profile, and political point. Okay, with this consideration, we have come up with the winning formula. These are the first three, focus on the power of engagement. We learned that the candidate must engage with their online audience. Doesn't matter whether the sentiments of the audience are highly positive, as long as it can create buzz that would cause ripple effect of mentions to the candidates. The next two addresses the needs to be visible online by letting the audience know what are their advocacies and their take on the country's important country. The next one was unexpected. It seems that non-news sources outweigh the headline news in getting interest of the audience. The next two emphasizes the importance of the audience being able to relate to the candidate. Most of the winners have a matching profile with the audience. Lastly, political party was still a factor that the audience considered in choosing their candidate. After going through sentiment analysis, personality insights, and topic modeling, it is still noticeably considerable the affiliation of a candidate to the current administration. If one is a pro-admin, it increases the probability of winning. So with this, here's our recommendation. Let's start first for our candidates. For candidates, one should be relatable to be able to win the heart of the public. With the personality insight, if the candidate matches the profile of the voters, he or she most likely win the election. Also, focus on the content that generates more engagement. Doesn't matter if it's from a news source or just simply mentioned from an average voter. As long as it catches attention and recall, that would definitely be a factor. And the saying from P.T. Barnum is still very much applicable in our country. Regardless if it's good or bad, it's still publicity, which a candidate needs to utilize. And then our recommendation for voters, where the power lies, we should choose when to interact and react. Little did we know that by simply expressing our sentiments against one candidate, we are still helping them. So think before we click, to make sure that we only promote those who we want to win. More importantly, let's look beyond political parties. Use a magnifying glass to scrutinize candidates' profile and see how he or she mirrors our aspiration for the country. And lastly, for our voices to be heard, for our choices to be counted, and for us to make a difference, let's register for 2020 elections. So what's next for this project? Here's what we would like to explore given more time. We could source data in the form of videos and photos from YouTube, and also we could also look into the presence of ballot buying, but sourcing this kind of data is such a challenge. And lastly, we could also check the winners are somehow related to other past or present politicians. So that's it. Thank you so much. Any questions?